Walt, how's it going? Thanks so much for hopping on with us today. How are you, my friend?
I am wonderful. How about you guys?
Hey, we're hanging in there. Crazy times for sure. Just kind of fill us in. What's the last few months been like for you? What have you been up to, and how you hanging in there, man?
Hey, I'm hanging in here really. Just the quarantine issue that we have going on. Just being home. I'm actually in Florida now in Fort Myers, and just hanging out with family and enjoying the good weather. So outside of that, man, just trying to stay low and stay low key, and just try to not get get any issues going on. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I shouldn't have done this right before you came on, but I had a vague memory of being at a playoff game in 2003 at Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs and Colts, of course, we're here in Kansas City. And I was like, I think, Walt Harris may have caused a fumble against Priest Holmes in that game. And I went back and found it. And sure enough, 21 caused that fumble. It was a shootout. And really that changed the course of the game. And I shouldn't have done that right before we brought you on, because now it's bringing me back. And the Chiefs had to keep scoring to win that game, because we sure were not going to stop you guys. That play changed the momentum of that game, man. That was one of the craziest games. No punts.
Man, you guys remember some of everything. There's so many plays that happen throughout the year and throughout your whole career. Sometimes you don't even remember. There are some plays that stick to your mind a whole lot closer than others, but it's amazing that's why we have videos and recordings, so that we can go back and see what all happened.
Do you remember that play? Do you remember?
I remember now. You brought my memory back to it. I'm like, because there's so many plays that happen all throughout your career, and now I do remember that with Priest Holmes.
Yeah, you changed the course, because that was a shootout back and forth. There was no punts, and the Chiefs had to keep scoring, because we sure weren't going to stop you guys. And I remember seeing Priest loose down the field. You caught up to him and propped the ball out. So it's one of those things. But man, you had a great career. Just take us back, because we've been really delving into the Mississippi State program. We had Jackie Sherrill on our show last week, and we're going to have Eric Mold, your former teammate, coming up. Right. So we're delving into some Mississippi State football here, man. And just take us back. When you think about playing for Jackie Sherrill, and you at the time you were there, the program was transitioning, but you guys got to a bowl game. You were 8-4. I think your junior year there. Yeah. Just take us back and kind of your memories of Starkville.
When I first got to Starkville, actually, I took my recruiting trip, and once I got back home and ended up saying, hey, this is where I want to go, and end up signing with Mississippi State. I'm trying to remember. It was just, such a small town, but, you could feel the energy. You could feel that it was headed in the right direction, especially up under Coach Cheryl. So I was excited, a young kid from a small town, just got a college scholarship and had some opportunity to show his talent and get an education. So for my mindset, my eyes was kind of big, really, because it was new for me coming from a small town. But as I remember those years, especially going to the bowl twice, my career there with Mississippi State, I think the first year we played North Carolina, and then the second year North Carolina State. Actually, North Carolina State was who was that? Was the receiver? North Carolina State was Torrey Hope. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes, right.
With North Carolina State. So it was fun. We had some older guys there when I first got there, and it was hot in Mississippi during the spring training, and it was a good time. It was a good time. A lot of memories, a lot of camaraderie, relationships that were built, and just Eric Mose, man, that guy there. He just made the team for the most part when he was there, because he made it fun, gave it a relaxing atmosphere as well.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit more about Stark Vegas. You did a little bit there, but just the Cowbells, Davis Wade Stadium, just the town and the feel, the fans, Hail State, man. What makes Mississippi State a great destination in the SEC?
Yeah, there you have it. It's the Cowbells. When you out in playing in that stadium, and you walking over, because we walked over to the stadium when it was time for game time, and you could hear those cowbells. It was just a sense of pride hearing the cowbells, because we knew our opponents did not like that, like to hear those cowbells. And so it was a good experience. It was a new experience for me, because I wasn't cognizant of the cowbells until I actually got there, and it was something to be a part of, something to ingrain within yourself because you was a part of the organization.
Well, you were a two-time SEC, all SEC performer there at Mississippi State under Jackie Sherrill. Your name is now on the Ring of Honor there at Davis Wade Stadium. We were just there in 2018 and saw that. What does that mean to you? And like, what's kind of your relationship like with the program now? And have you been back in a while?
I think I went back last year for one of the games, and that moment was really a heartfelt moment. It really put a stamper in my career there with Mississippi State because I didn't expect it, and it was just a huge honor. I think the year prior, I was enrolled into the Ring of Honor, and with the Hall of Fame, I don't know which one the difference, but it was, just to be a part of the organization and for them to remember me and what I've done there for the school, for the organization. I am just personally honored, really, because now that we had a lot of guys during that time that could really been given that honor. So I was just blown away. I was very blessed to be able to be a part of the other guys that's on that stadium.
Well, Walt, as we did this film going around to every SEC town and stadium, whether it's the sights, the sounds, the total atmosphere, what were some of your favorite just road environments and experiences that you had in the SEC?
I remember going to LSU and playing in that atmosphere and playing the Florida Gators. That atmosphere was wild. Playing Tennessee, Peyton Manning, when he came to Starksville that year, that was his first game he started during that game that we played. I intercepted him, I think twice, maybe one time. So you guys remember that. But just going to LSU, playing in that crowd, man, it was just a hostile territory. Just all the SEC teams, it is hard to go through those different atmospheres and not becoming a better organization overall, because you're going to get work, that the competition is going to be at a high level, and it was just a great experience, really. It's one of my favorite stadiums that I did love playing in. Actually, was playing in Florida, with the Gators. Yeah, that was because I love the weather. I love the weather. My footing was good. It was just a different atmosphere. I felt like I was going back home, being from Georgia.
Yeah, you're from Georgia. Why Mississippi State to begin with? What led you there, and what were some of the options that maybe you had coming out of high school at the time? Kind of what take us through that recruiting process.
Well, it was funny though, because my junior year, I really was a big Georgia Tech fan. I loved to watch Willie Clay during those years when he was a well-known cornerback there, and it was just Georgia Tech, and Georgia was recruiting me. But once I got to my senior year, and I had some good coaches that that was really there to help guide me through making that decision. And then once I went to Mississippi State, actually that was my junior year when I went there for one of their camps or something like that. And it was just something different about the atmosphere. The atmosphere, it felt like home. It felt like I was a part of the environment. And once I decided to go to Mississippi State, I just knew it was the right decision. And hindsight, looking back, obviously it was, because I was able to create a wonderful career there on the collegiate level, but also allowing me to go on the professional level as well.
Well, Walt, growing up in Georgia, playing at Mississippi State, we've talked to a lot of people, and the SEC slogan is "It just means more." Football means more in the South, especially in the SEC. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. I just think something about the South. It's kind of like that backyard football type of atmosphere, really. It's hardcore. I think the people, you got a lot of athletes that are from the South that play on these Southern teams. And so they have so much to fight for, so much to work for. It's a lot of camaraderie, community is in my opinion, but I could be wrong because I don't know anything about the North, but just my personal opinion is it's something about the South, the feel, the togetherness, and just country old boys, just playing the game, really.
Well, tell us a little bit about your coach, Jackie Sherrill. We talked to him. We got to have gotten to know him a little bit over the past week or so. We had him on our show and got to have a really in-depth conversation with him. He is a really engaging person. I just found him to be it was kind of astonishing getting to know him a little bit. I'll tell you what, that guy does not like the NCAA. We know that. What was it like playing for Coach Sherrill? What was he like kind of as a coach and a person, and kind of how close were you with him?
Yeah, I don't think during my collegiate career I was really, really close to Coach Sherrill. I always saw him as just a coach. That's the way I've always seen all of my coaches for the most part. I see them as a coach, as a leader, someone that I'm going to get as much advice as I can, learn from, an authoritative figure, because he was a coach. I always want to respect all of my coaches because I really felt that they knew something that I didn't know. So I would be crazy not to listen, keep my ears wide open, and pay attention to what they had to say. But there with Coach Sherrill, I really felt that he was a motivator. That was one of the things when I first got there. I remember my freshman year there, we were getting ready to play the Texan Longhorns. And obviously, the story about the cow.
Yeah.
The whole ordeal there. And that was his way of motivating us. And he had a unique way of motivating us and getting us ready. Just all about business. But now lately, because I went back to Mississippi State to get my to be honored, I got a chance to kind of see him again. And I wish now that I would have taken more advantage of the relationship when I was really there. But it was just my mindset during that time, because Coach Sherrill is a good man, funny coach. And I am just privileged to have the opportunity to be up under him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that the motivation worked. I think you guys won that game, and
I think I'm losing you on the connection here. I didn't get that last bit there. I don't know if it's my internet piece connection or what. Can you guys hear me?
Well, Clint's going to try and get his mic going, so I'll jump in here and just talk. Clint's going to get his mic going, so I'll jump in here and just ask you about keeping in touch with some of your former teammates, and how much have you kept in touch, and how much has that meant to you, the bonds and relationships that you cultivated back then to your adult life and present life?
It means a whole lot, really, and I'm so glad for social media, because that really is kind of the gateway for most of us now, because sometimes you move on, you go into different directions or whatnot, and sometimes you kind of get a little distant. But the fact that social media has really played a huge part, I keep in touch with a lot of the guys now, because we have our own lives. But at the same time, when you are able to stay in touch with guys, whether it's on Facebook, all social media platforms, we're able to connect with each other, get each other's phone numbers, because guys' phone numbers change over the years. And so sometimes that's just the nature of it. But to be able to be back in contact with a lot of guys that you played with, some of the guys that didn't even go to the NFL, but you remember those guys because of the relationship that was there, that means a whole lot. And so those are things that no one can ever take from us, because those are the relationships that we created over time. And so I just had a phone call. I missed this call. Mario Hagan, we stay in touch a lot now. And obviously me and Mose, we definitely stay in touch online, and Gregory Favors, Melvin Hayes, a lot of the guys, John James was one of the guys that when I first got there, he was one of the guys that I looked up to, that kind of kept things straight, gave me the ropes and the do's and not to do's and things like that. So I try to stay in touch with as many guys as I can, a lot lately than I've had in the past.
Well, Walt, I want to talk about your NFL career, because you're drafted in the first round by the Chicago Bears, had some really tremendous years there, but really 10 years into your career, you make your first Pro Bowl, and you're in the league for 15 years, which is the rarest of the rare. Just talk about how you were able to do that. Do you consider yourself someone that was just kind of fortunate when it comes to injuries? And, you played for, the Colts, the Redskins, the Niners, and then kind of finished up with the Ravens there, but just how were you able to sustain that career and then making a Pro Bowl 10 years into your career? That's crazy, and a testament to you really staying the course there.
Yeah, I'm very thankful. I know you guys have always heard, if I would have known then what I know now, I would have done things a whole lot different. And that was kind of the the stigma from my career. Later on in my career, I had to end up really observing my own things that I did during the off season and really take it from a professional perspective and really be more professional. And one of the things that I ended up doing was really training a whole lot harder, training a lot better. I did some different things that I normally wouldn't have done on the early in my career. I got my body in shape. I started eating a whole lot better, started to get a whole lot more aware of the importance of just being relaxed. My lifestyle was a lot more different. At the very beginning of my stage, at the very beginning of my career, however, I just began to train a whole lot more. And that gave me more confidence, that gave me more strength, that gave me more speed. And I'm a praying man as well. So I just definitely believe that with the whole mixture of all that put together, it was just time. And so I wish I would have trained a whole lot different when I was a lot younger in my career. I always look back and say, man, I wish I would have had more time. I would have done this a whole lot different. And so nowadays, with all the new information and the training and understanding the importance of how you eat and the importance of what that does to you, not only physically, but mentally as well, it goes a long way. And so it's a whole lot different now than what it was for me.
What about some of the current players that are in the NFL from Mississippi State, to the two headliners, Dak Prescott, Chris Jones?
Yeah.
Have they ever reached out to you? Have you reached out to them? And just what is it like to see some Mississippi State Bulldogs have that kind of success in the NFL? The Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl without Chris Jones knocking down some of those Jimmy Garoppolo balls.
Oh, man, I know. And when you see that, it just gives you another sense of pride that these guys are alumni. These are guys that went to the organization, team, university, where you did. And so you feel good for them. You were pushing for them. I never was a Dallas Cowboy fan whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I kind of rejected them for the most part because playing with the Washington Redskins for 2 years, obviously they were one of the rivals. But once Dak Prescott got there, and this is how it works, I became a fan of the Cowboys because I was really pushing for him to be successful. And so as well as all the guys, you want them to do good. So if they're not playing you and the team that you represent, you want them to do well. And so I haven't had a chance to reach out to Dak. I like to give guys their space, but I know we're going to run across each other when I get a chance to get back to Mississippi State, and there are going to be some things that we do. And so I'm definitely pushing for Dak to do his thing and represent himself, represent his family, but also represent Mississippi State.
Well, Walt, of course, you played for the Colts from 02 to 03, and really right as Peyton Manning's coming into his own and forming such a lethal offensive unit. The defense was getting there as well, and you guys came within an eyelash of going to the Super Bowl there in 03. Just kind of talk about playing with a guy like Peyton Manning, and you're well established in your career at that point, but what it was like kind of watching him grow, and just kind of what Peyton was like as a person and a teammate.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm very thankful for change. Sometimes guys, for the most part, look at being on one team and they look at it and they want to be on that one team, and I understand. But for me, I was able to go from team to team to team and experience different organizations and see how things were done. And so once I got to Indianapolis, that's when Tony Dungy was there the first year, we got there at the same time, and was able to really see and learn a lot from Peyton himself, just watching him from practices, watching his demeanor, watch how he carried himself, watch how he was a leader on and off the field. And his work ethic is beyond reproach, really. And I understand why he has been so successful, because his work ethic. He's a great guy on the field, great guy off the field. And just to see him and Marvin Harrison and competing against Peyton and Marvin Harrison and other receivers during that time, I even got better myself. I was able to learn a whole lot more how things work, and he made me a whole lot better. So I am so blessed and thankful to be have the opportunity to be with the Indianapolis Colts and be able to see him hands-on during the practices.
Well, what do you remember about some of the great stadiums you played in, whether it's Lambeau Field, your time with the Bears, or whether it's in Arrowhead, that 2003 game that we talked about, and what it's going to be like moving forward into 2020 if there are no fans?
I know. I really loved, although it was cold, I did love going to Lambeau Field and playing there and playing against Brett Favre. The tradition when I was in Chicago, just the cold, something about that cold we felt that we had an edge on all the teams, although some of the season we didn't do as good, but we felt an edge, for the most part. Going to Lambeau Field, Brett Favre was the guy during that time and still is, but during those seasons, I just really loved going into Lambeau Field, and just it was something about driving up to that stadium where you almost driving up in the neighborhood, really, so to speak, and just playing against them. With the season now, it's interesting in what's going to happen this year. It's with this pandemic that's going on, and everyone is really wanting to be careful to make sure that they do the right thing. I'm just waiting to see what's really going to happen. And I hope the best for everyone, because this is their livelihood. A lot of guys, this is how they feed their families. So I hope things really work out.
Yeah, absolutely. For everyone involved, we need it more than ever. Just for a morale standpoint, a season without football would not bode well for any of us. I got to ask you, Walt, about the position of corner in general, because from the time that you got to the NFL in 1996 to now, the rules have slowly just sort of been changed to sort of benefit the offensive side of the ball. You're playing against quarterbacks now that are just unreal with the arm strength, with accuracy. Patrick Mahomes, the Aaron Rodgerses of the world, guys like Deshaun Watson, the dynamic nature of their game. How difficult would it be to play corner now, kind of versus when you did? Obviously, when you were there, the times were changing, and the rules were changing. The 5-yard rule, bump and run rule was changed. But just kind of talk about the position and how it's changed a little bit.
Yes, it's changed a lot, as I look down the way the game is. And obviously I understand why you have to put things in perspective of why the changes are being made. Obviously, it's all about scoring points. It's all about, bringing excitement to the game. Being a defensive player, we love low scoring games, but for the most part, fans want to see scores. Fans want to see all these things. And so a lot of changes have been made. My biggest thing is now playing corner. It would be tough. It would be really tough. But everything goes hand in hand. The defensive line and the way the defensive line play the game, it's a team game, really. And I really feel that we're just going to adapt. Defensive back, I was talking to Tyronn Poole the other day, and we both agreed, because he's a cornerback. We believe that cornerbacks are the best talent on the field at the end of the day. Because we're going backwards. We have to study well, but at the same time, those guys know what they're going to do. They know where they got to go. We don't, so we have to kind of figure things out. And so being corners and playing in the league during this time, you have to be smart players. You have to be very aware. You have to really do your homework even much more. But I feel that the corners now, they have adapted. They have adjusted, and with the way that the game is being played, with the quarterbacks now, man, the arms and the Patrick Mahomes, like you mentioned, and obviously the Aaron Rodgers and those guys, their ability to not only threaten you with their arm, but they can threaten you with their legs. And so they become a whole lot smarter. And with the way that the game is, it's so easier for the defense to have holes in the defense. It's tough, man. But my hat goes off to all of those defensive backs that are playing now. Because we are the best talent on the field, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge nowadays.
Well, who are some of the best receivers that you ever faced? I know coming into the league with the Bears, you're there with the Packers, Lions, Vikings. You got Antonio Freeman, Herman Moore, Chris Carter, Randy Moss later on in '98. Just talk about some of the best guys you've ever faced that gave you the most troubles.
Eric Moulds.
You just named so many of them just now. I just remember going against the Herman Moores and that back shoulder fade. And he was such a huge guy, long arms and big guy with the Lions. And obviously Randy Moss, when he came in, he really changed the way the game was played with his push down the field, throwing his hands up in the air, and it's game time. And so playing against Randy Moss was tough, but I actually liked playing against Randy Moss. Some of the shorter, quicker guys off the line gave me trouble myself. It was playing against Marvin Harrison because you have that Peyton Manning, Marvin Harris combo. So you're not even playing against just one receiver, playing against a receiver. You're playing against a smart quarterback and also the wide receiver who are both on the same page. And that's what makes it tough. So that was tough there. Isaac Bruce, so much respect for him, who he is on the field as well as off the field. He was great running routes at his prime. And so I used to study him. And man, we had so many talented wide receivers during that time when I was playing. And they're only getting better with the receivers that are there now. But Randy Moss, Isaac Bruce, Marvin Harrison, going against Torrey Holt. I love playing against Torrey Holt. Herman Moore. Yeah, it was just a lot of receivers during the time to go against, and they made you better at the end of the day.
Well, I'll tell you what, Walt, it's been such a pleasure to have you on with us today, looking back at what was a tremendous career, not only in the NFL, but in college as well. Two-time All-SEC performer and a Pro Bowl for you during your prodigious 15-year career, man. Hope you stay safe and stay healthy and have a tremendous Independence Day weekend, my friend. We can't thank you enough for doing it with us today, man.
Absolutely. Kudos to you guys for what you guys are doing and what you guys are doing for all these teams. I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate you inviting me on, and just God bless to all of you guys, and hope everything goes well with you.
Right back at you, Walt. It was an absolute honor, man. Take care.